You're about to experience Healthline, a show where doctors from Makati Med interact with you for a healthy, uplifting lifestyle. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto. You've got questions, we've got answers. So welcome to Healthline.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Healthline with Makati Med. I'm your host, Nicole Jacinto, and I'm privileged to be your host for today. It's oh my God, what's the date today? It's Easter Monday, though. I just want to wish everybody a happy Easter, belated happy Easter, and also today is Easter Monday, so it's still being celebrated. And in the spirit of Easter, whether you are a Christian or not, or a Catholic or not, the idea is resurrection. No, it's for a new life, renewal, and for hope. So I'd like to spread that message of love and hope out there to everyone who is tuning in and to everyone who will tune in afterwards on the 𝗛𝗲𝗁𝗁 8:10 a.m. YouTube channel. As 𝗄𝗶𝗵𝗹𝗁 said earlier on his program, mag-subscribe kayo. Click lang, wala naman charge yan, no? And tama yung sinabi ni 𝗄𝗶𝗵𝗹𝗁, yung mga balita at lahat na yun. Sinabi niya walang paltos. At pagdating rin sa Facebook page ng 𝗛𝗲𝗁, please do check it out. And especially for this show, Healthline with Makati Med, marami tayong matututunan. We will learn a lot. We do learn a lot. As a host, I learn a lot every time I do this show. And the importance here is that we can learn, we can be informed, we can be more educated about how to have healthier and uplifting lifestyles. And before we start the show and I give you the topic, I just like to remind people and say that Makati Medical Center has a care access center in Araneta City. So that's in Cubao. If you live in Metro Manila, you can not only go to Makati Med, the hospital Makati Med, which is in Makati, but you can go to Cubao to get maybe some checkups, some treatment. You know, Makati Med has put up these centers in different parts of Metro Manila, and you can see more about that later, to help people and help with the decongestion. And that's a really good thing, that we have clinics we can trust and doctors we can trust. And of course, this is by the prestigious Makati Medical Center. Now, the first anniversary of the Makati Medical Center Care Access in Araneta City is actually coming on April 15. It's this Saturday, and from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., it will be celebrated. They have a health and wellness fair for 2023, and it's going to be celebrated in the Gateway Mall activity area in Araneta City, Quezon City. Okay, so today's topic, also I'd like to remind you before we do anything else that there is a 2D Echo promo. Makati Medical Center Care Access in Araneta City is offering its newest service, which is a 2D echocardiogram. For those of you who had checkups or who may be sick or know people who are sick, that's usually a follow-up checkup, or just to get your baseline. I've had that done, and you don't have to go to the Makati Med Hospital anymore. You can get that done in the Makati Medical Center Care Access. The 2D Echo is used to diagnose and treat heart problems at early stages. It's important, as we know, to get in there while it's an early stage. And it's also used, the 2D Echo is used to keep your heart active and healthy as you age. I mean, you know, you can, the doctor can give you advice based on your 2D Echo. And you can get an 18% discount off your 2D Echo procedure at Makati Med Araneta City. This promo runs until June 30, 2023. And as part of the health and wellness gift certificates, you know, you can give a gift of health and wellness this 2023, this year, no? Get your precious ones, Makati Med's health and wellness gift. And certificates are available at various denominations to choose from. So, you know, you can get it at different amounts. It doesn't have to be a big amount. And the promo runs until May 14, 2023. So you should snap those up already before the promo period runs out. As for the Health and Wellness Fair, this where they're commemorating the first year anniversary of Makati Med Araneta City this April 15, as I said earlier, and they will be doing a health and wellness fair at the Gateway Mall activity area, where various activities and prizes await you. So the admission is free. So you know, we hope to see you guys there on April 15. On April 15. Okay. All right. So apart from saying that, I would like to say that today's topic is hot, hot, hot. Yes, we're going to talk about something very timely. In fact, Jimmy Morato mentioned it earlier. We are talking about heat stroke and heat exhaustion. And with us today is Dr. Amado A. Flores III. So he's an emergency medicine specialist. And of course, this is a chance to get your questions in. You can text us, you can message us, you can put it on the Facebook page, and we'll do our best to answer your questions during the show. Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Flores.
Good afternoon, Miss Nicole. Good afternoon, everyone, and all the listeners and viewers of Healthline, and to all our Makati Medical Center patients. Good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me as well.
Okay, no, it's that one is really our pleasure, and today's topic is very timely. Heat stroke, heat exhaustion. But I want to ask you first. Now, you're an emergency medicine specialist, so you would be the person to talk about the best person to talk about this topic, because the first thing that happens when somebody has the symptoms that we'll talk about later is, being in the ER, I'm sure you've seen everything.
Yes.
And you're probably the one that encounters patients with this who are affected by heat stroke and heat exhaustion the most.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
So you're the person. Go ahead. Sorry, doctor.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, we see patients who present with heat stroke and heat stress, especially during this time of the year that the summer is here and the heat index is higher than what we usually expect than before. So we really have some cases of this heat-related illnesses or emergencies.
Do you always keep your, just to ask, you always keep your eye on the heat index, or we hear it anyway in the news, no? And we feel it.
Yeah. Other than we feel it, we really do take note of the heat index that is being reported, especially during the summer. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is a very timely topic because we've heard of many incidents in the last few weeks, and we'll just circle back to that later. So before we talk about specific cases or things you may have come across in your ER or in your practice as a doctor that pertain to heat stroke or heat exhaustion, can you tell us exactly what heat stroke is?
Okay. In order for me to answer that, I would like all the audience to understand, for them to better understand, heat stroke and heat exhaustion is part of what we call heat-related illnesses, or what emergency medicine specialists call as heat emergencies. So these heat emergencies, these are continuum disorder. It means that these disorder are related to each other. It may start from a simple mild presentation from heat cramps, going to heat exhaustion, and to the most severe form, which is heat stroke. So before you go to a heat stroke, you may present first with the mild form of, as I mentioned, heat cramps and heat exhaustion. So to define heat stroke is a medical emergency. It is a life-threatening condition that needs to be treated early, because if it's not treated early, it can be life-threatening or it can be fatal. Now, the cardinal features of the two symptoms of the heat stroke would be an elevated temperature of more than 40 degrees centigrade, accompanied by alteration in mental status. It means that the patient would have a fever of more than 40 degrees with changes in behavior, such as they can be confused, they can be irritable, they can present with bizarre behavior, they can present with seizure and coma. Okay. And then these patients would have increase in heart rate and increase in respiratory rate.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. That was a great explanation. And just to recap what you said for our listeners and viewers out there, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, they are part of what doctors call heat emergencies.
Yes. Heat-related emergencies. Correct.
Heat-related emergencies. Okay. And it can start out, the mild version is heat cramps. Can you describe heat cramps to us first?
Okay. So heat cramps happen. This usually happens for those athletes who are doing exercises or doing activities that they are drinking a lot of fluid water without electrolyte, and then when they are exposed to extreme heat and humid environment for a long period of time, their body perspires a lot and their body lose water, and then including in this loss of water is loss of your electrolytes, which is your sodium and potassium, which causes symptoms of pain, especially in your muscles, in the legs. Okay, so that is what we call heat cramps. So this is the mildest form of the heat-related illnesses. So.
And I'm sorry. I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes, as you said, maybe athletes and you're exercising, trying to
Yes.
be an athlete, or you might think, oh, my legs just hurt or they're cramping because maybe I did too much. I'm weak today, because of the exercise itself, which is very possible. But
Yes.
as you mentioned, one symptom is that you start cramping because you lose too much fluid, and with that, the electrolytes, which are sodium and potassium, and that's reflected in cramps in different muscles, no?
Yes. Correct.
Different muscles in the body. And of course, when we lose electrolytes, that affects how the heart works, doesn't it?
Correct. Correct. That's correct. So part of it, when we lose electrolyte, we also this affects the heart as well.
Okay.
That's right.
So that is the first or the mildest form
Yes.
of heat-related emergencies. How about heat exhaustion?
Okay. So once you're exposed longer to heat, your body cannot anymore compensate to the heat. Then the patient would present symptoms such as dizziness, headache. They can present with lightheadedness, body weakness, and then they could have increase in the heart rate and increase in the respiration. So most of the time, this patient would present in the emergency room or in the house. They're perspiring a lot, their extremities are cold, and they're very red. They're
Very red.
flush. Okay, so this is basically due to dehydration, decrease in the fluid, and also decrease in electrolyte brought about by the increase in temperature. Their temperature can be normal or it can be high, but the temperature will not be more than 40 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
So that's heat exhaustion.
All right. Just to recap what you said, doctor, for the viewers and listeners out there, and for myself, so I'll remember it better. Heat exhaustion comes when it's not, you don't have a fever yet, or 40. It's not. I'm not calling it a fever. Sorry, it's not 40 degrees centigrade and above, but you can start getting the sweats. And
Yes.
you turn red, and you may experience dizziness, and your body feels weak, and you may also be cramping or something at that point. And then after that, when we get the more severe symptoms, that is when heat stroke occurs, which you described earlier.
Yes,
And
that's correct.
heat stroke is the medical emergency where you really need to go see a doctor.
That's correct.
Okay. In these three sort of levels that you mentioned when it comes to heat-related emergencies, can one progress to the other even if you've already tried to? Is it progressive even if you're not still exposed to the heat?
Yes. So as I've mentioned, this is related. This is a continuum. The disease can progress from a mild heat cramps to heat exhaustion to heat stroke, but this is preventable. So you can prevent yourself from going from heat exhaustion to heat stroke. Okay. So we have treatment, we have remedies for us to prevent patients going to heat stroke, and that is actually by cooling down the body immediately.
Okay. So, we shouldn't be complacent, or hindi tayo dapat kampante na, oh, I just got cramps or heat exhaustion, but I'll be fine. You should address it. As a patient, should we address it immediately?
Yes, correct. Pag naka-experience tayo ng mga symptoms tulad ng na-expose tayo sa mainit na at malinsahang environment, at naka-experience tayo ng panghihilo, masakit ang ulo, at panghihina, bigla ang panghihina, at parang tayo nauhaw at pinagpapawisan ng malakas at namumula at mabilis ang tibok ng puso natin at paghinga. Ito yung mga simptomas na nag-i-start na yung heat exhaustion. Kailangan na nating pababain yung temperature natin, tulungan ng katawan natin to decrease the temperature.
So when we do start feeling these symptoms, just to recap what you said,
Yes.
we need to address it immediately as patients, or as people, like, or if you have a friend or a family member and you notice they're going through maybe some symptoms of the first two stages, and you know that it's obviously hot. Maybe you're out, maybe you
Yes.
have no other choice but to be out, or maybe you went on vacation somewhere, you didn't get to calculate the heat, you didn't expect it to happen this way. You didn't expect this to happen. You should start addressing it already, because as you said, it's a continuum. It can progress. So we shouldn't be complacent, like, no, I just have this and then I'll be okay. It can continue up to getting to the point of a heat stroke if you do not address it in terms of cooling down. And I'll ask you later how to cool down exactly until the point where we consult the doctor. We'll circle back to that if that's all right with you.
Yes.
And then, doctor, I'd just like to take a short break and remind people of the other things that Makati Med as a hospital, as an organization, has to offer. And before we go to that break, I'd like to also say that while we're talking about this topic, this is a highlight. There's a hypertension. In terms of hypertension, there is monitoring and prevention. In terms of the anniversary of the Health and Wellness Fair 2023 anniversary, first year anniversary of the Makati Medical Center Care Access in Araneta City. And the one hosting that will be Dr. 𝗪𝗓𝗵𝗹𝗁. He's a cardiology consultant of Makati Medical Center. He's a training program supervisor. Okay. He does cardio oncology, and he has a master's in hospital administration from the Philippine Christian University. He's a diplomat and fellow of the Philippine College of Physics, diplomat and fellow of the Philippine College of Cardiology, a diplomat and fellow of the Philippine Society of Echocardiography, because the 2D echo is being rolled out. And then they will also have there Dr. Jane Pasamante, who will discuss facts about chronic kidney disease and hemodialysis. And of course, she's a nephrology consultant for Makati Medical Center. She's a fellow of the Philippine College of Physicians and a diplomat of the Philippine College of Nephrology. You probably know them, no, doctor?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. So anyway, doctor, thank you for hanging in there while I just reminded the audience of some of your fellow doctors and colleagues who they can have access to during the Health and Wellness Fair of the first anniversary of the Makati Medical Care Access Center in Araneta City. And doctor, we'll just take a short break, and when we get back, I have a lot more questions for you.
You're listening to DZRJ 810 AM. We'll be right back after these reminders.
Hi, this is Dr. Gia Season from Makati Medical Center, and I'm happy to share that our world-class quality healthcare with the heart is now more accessible and affordable at Makati Med Care Access, Araneta City. What's more, Makati Med Care Access is the only single-use hemodialysis center in Araneta City. It's now easier for patients to avail of renal care services right in the heart of 𝗂𝗏𝗏. We offer health screening and diagnostic procedures in this facility at affordable rates. You can get services such as mammogram, ultrasound, lab procedures, ECG, and many others. We believe that access to affordable, quality, and compassionate healthcare is a basic human right. And we at Makati Med Care Access Araneta City are doing our best to make this possible to more people. You can find us at the ground floor of Manhattan Plaza Tower 1 in Araneta Center, 𝗂𝗏𝗏. We are open from Mondays to Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sundays from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. For inquiries, you may reach out to us at the numbers below. We look forward to serving you here at Makati Med Care Access, Araneta City. This is Dr. 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 from Makati Medical Center, and I'm happy to share that our world-class quality healthcare with the heart is now more accessible and affordable through Makati Med Care Access at 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵. Available for outpatient care services, our 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 site offers consultation and diagnostic procedures such as medical assistance, hospital admission assistance, blood pressure monitoring, laboratory tests, and X-ray, among others. This is really convenient for those residing in Makati and nearby areas who do not want to go to the hospital to have these treatments and procedures done. We believe that access to excellent quality and compassionate healthcare is a basic human right, and we at Makati Med 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 are doing our best to make this possible to more people. We are open from Monday to Saturday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the 3rd floor of 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 in Makati City. For inquiries, you may reach us at these numbers. We look forward to serving you here at Makati Med Care Access 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵.
You're back with Healthline, keeping you healthy, moderated by Nicole Jacinto.
Okay, welcome back to Healthline with Makati Med. I'm your host, Nicole Jacinto. We are here with Dr. Flores, Dr. Amado A. Flores III, who is an emergency medicine specialist, and we are talking about, as Dr. Amado said, heat-related emergencies. Mainly, we're talking about, we talked about heat cramps. We talked about cramps, and we talked about heat exhaustion, and of course heat stroke, which is really the topic that we want to delve into, because that is the most I guess serious of all the heat emergencies that can happen to people. And you know, as I said, it's timely. It's not just in the news, but summer is here. And Dr. Flores mentioned that earlier, that during these months, doctor, you really keep an eye on the index, and you're ready for situations where patients may be brought in now with symptoms of heat stroke or heat exhaustion or even heat cramps. Can you tell us why people should really be cautious, maybe based on the number of patients you've seen now that summer has been officially declared in the Philippines, at least?
Yeah. The people should be cautious about changes in temperature, because as Filipinos, we are really quite conditioned to changes in temperature. So we are born in a very hot environment. So we really can compensate. Our body can compensate in any changes in temperature. However, with the sudden change in temperature, sometimes the body cannot easily compensate or acclimatize. So when summer arrives from a cold environment to a hot environment, we need time to acclimatize or to condition ourselves. So we really need to think about that. We cannot go directly on doing things immediately this summer, because we have to let our body condition to these changes in temperature. That's why it's important for us to understand and be aware that these things can happen if we are not conditioned and our body cannot compensate with the sudden changes in temperature. So
that's a really great point, doctor, because as you said, as Filipinos living in the Philippines, we're used to, it's always hot. So we can
Yes.
take it for granted. We can say, lagi naman mainit, or it's all, I mean, I can still do what I used to do in the months of January and February or even early March. But actually, as you said, even if we're used, you're used to living in a hot environment or in a tropical environment like ours here in the Philippines, your body still needs time to acclimate. Like, don't
Correct.
take for granted that I can do this anyway because I do it all the time, because the weather has changed, the temperature has changed. And I'll let you all in on a little secret, doc. I don't I feel all the changes in the weather. I'll be like, it's getting hotter. Like, I don't acclimatize very fast. I'm very conscious of that because I don't know why. I'm just like, I suffer, not suffer, but more than most people, it hits me right away. But a lot of people, I'm the minority. Most people be like, oh, just do the same thing. It's hot all year round. But I'm like, I can't. It's suddenly hot today.
Yeah.
I feel like, I get it. But other people who may be able to cope with heat more or changes in temperature, they may take it for granted. So let's not take that for granted. Because also, Doc, when you're exposed to high temperatures, aside from the heat emergencies that you told us about, well, basically, what can happen? What can possibly happen? Like, best case scenario, worst case scenario?
Okay. So what happens when you're exposed to hot environment? We have what we call the mechanism in our body so that we can cool down. So we have this what we call thermoregulator in our body. So the first thing that happens is our body tries to cool down. So the first thing that the body does is to increase our sweat. So we sweat a lot. This will cause evaporation to decrease our temperature. The second thing that will happen is we get our vessels, our blood vessels to dilate. That's why our skin turns flushed. Namumula tayo when it's hot because the blood vessel dilates. Okay? And then also the body compensates by decreasing heat production of the body. So we decrease the heat production. And of course, we have these behavioral modifications that we do when we are exposed to heat. Okay? First of all, we try to remove ourselves from the heat from that environment by going to a shaded place or putting some protection. And then we cool ourselves using fans or even drinking water. So these are the physiologic changes that happens normally when we are exposed to a hot environment. But when we continue to expose ourselves in that hot environment, our body can cease to thermoregulate, and what will happen is that we cannot decrease our temperature to the temperature that we want our body to have, and then our temperature will go up, and then the cascade of the symptoms will happen.
Okay, that's great, doctor, because you're explaining the process of how we end up first not feeling well or putting our bodies in jeopardy. And this is what happens up to the point where you start getting heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Now, as you said,
That's right.
when we're exposed to temperature that's so high, we sweat a lot because it's the body's mechanism of cooling itself down, no, evaporation. It is true, like if when you sweat, it takes the heat out. You feel this cooling effect after. But never sometimes for me. It's just too hot. And then
I can relate to you.
you can relate to that.
When summer, my body's like dripping with water. My hands are dripping with perspiration.
And then
can-
you're just like, okay, I still don't feel that cooled off, right?
Yeah.
But it helps somehow. That's your body's way of coping. As you said, it's our body's thermoregulation, the mechanism for that. And then our blood vessels also dilate. Can you tell me what happens when our blood vessels dilate?
Okay. So when our blood vessel dilate, we actually we can notice that our skin are flush. So when our blood vessel dilate, it causes a pooling of blood, and then this will decrease the amount of blood flowing in the body. And for the body to compensate, it will increase the heart rate to compensate for the normal delivery of blood in the body. That's why when we are exposed to heat, our heart rate also increase.
Thank you for explaining that, doctor, because to say that our blood vessels dilate, I'm glad that you explained so well and so simply to us that it doesn't. One thing is it causes you to get flushed or turn red, and like maybe you're out there and like, oh, parang I have sunburn or whatever, but actually your blood vessels are dilating. And I guess the greater danger to that is that the as you said, the blood circulation in the blood is not circulating as much because the blood vessels are dilated. So your heart will have to compensate and pump more blood, and your heart rate raises. And I guess that would be dangerous too or not dangerous, but can affect people with hypertension and all that. No, and a
Yes,
whole
definitely. This is dangerous for those people with premorbid condition, with heart problems, because when you increase your heart rate, you increase the contractility, and if you have some heart blockage, it can cause cardiac arrhythmia or irregularity in the heart rate, and it may cause also heart attack.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay, thank you for saying that, doctor. So it's not just heat exhaustion, heat stroke, discomfort. Heat stroke is serious in itself, but it can also cause heart attacks. Because when people say, "Oh, it's so hot," you might get a heart attack. Yeah, this is where it's coming from. You're a real doctor and a good doctor telling us that yes, scientifically, physiologically, this is what happens to your body. And you talked about our bodies. Sorry, what did you call it? The
thermoregulation.
yes, thermodynamic.
Thermoregulation.
Sorry, thermoregulation. I can't read my own handwriting. Okay, thermoregulation. Okay, talked about our body's thermoregulation. Is this a function of the whole body, or maybe what major organs are involved? What's in charge of that? Is that the hypothalamus?
Yes,
Uh,
the center of the thermoregulation of our body is in the brain, is in the hypothalamus. It causes different changes in the body so that we can reabsorb fluids and electrolytes. When there is a sudden increase in the temperature of the environment, our body can absorb that heat, and our core temperature can increase. Once our core temperature increase, then the thermoregulator of the body will release certain chemicals that will enable us to increase our sweat production, decrease our heat production, and then also increase our fluid absorption and electrolyte absorption in the body.
Great. So at least, thank you, doctor. You explained the whole process also in basic and very understandable, very relatable terms, in terms of this is what happens in the brain, this is what it has to do, this is how our bodies compensate. And also you mentioned the heart. So it's brain, heart, and all the other things going on in our body. Because many of us may take for granted that we have this mechanism in our body that regulates it. Are there any people who are more prone to let's say being injured this way, or being probably how shall I say it, affected by higher temperatures, like let's say those who have hypertension, but maybe in children, the hypothalamus isn't as developed, no,
Yes.
as an adult. And how about those who are older? Is there any demographic that's more vulnerable?
Yeah, definitely the vulnerable people would be the children less than 5 years old, those elderly more than 65, those patients who are working in a very humid and hot environment, like our police, our security guard, those working in factories, and those people with comorbidities, especially those with hypertension, diabetes, cardiac problem, renal problem, those with mental illnesses who are taking certain drugs, because there are certain drugs that will decrease our body's perspiration. I mean, it will decrease the body's chance to produce sweat. Okay, so like medications for hypertension specifically. For those with heart problems, such as heart failure, those taking diuretics. The diuretics, these are medication that makes you pee. When you pee a lot, it can cause dehydration. Okay, so, and then also those who are alcoholics and obese patients as well.
Okay. Thank you for not looking at me when you said obese. Just kidding. Okay. But okay. So also why for alcoholics, can you explain? I know they
Okay.
get dehydrated. Is that true? Yeah. They
Yeah,
get dehydrated.
yeah. Alcohol by itself is a diuretic, so it increases the fluid release of the body. So, and it also increases the metabolic rate of the body. So when you drink alcohol, it increases the metabolic rate. It produces more heat. So when we produce more heat, then your core temperature will go up more compared to those who are not drinking alcohol.
Yes, I mean I can say that for myself. When I drink alcohol, and I'm sure a lot of my friends know this, you do get hotter. Sometimes you
Yes.
get flushed, and you pee more. So
Yes.
as you said, it's a diuretic, and diuretics that make you pee more don't allow you to sweat. So is there a difference in your body between peeing more and sweating when it comes to regulating the heat? Is one better than the other for your body? Peeing or peeing or sweating?
Yeah. So when you pee and when you sweat, you actually just not lose water. You actually lose your electrolytes as well.
Ah.
And when you lose your electrolytes, it decreases your body's ability to reabsorb water. So it causes more dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. And that electrolyte imbalance would be the reason for the symptoms.
Actually, doctor, you're explaining it so well now because you said, I just want to focus on something you said. When you lose electrolytes, it decreases your body's ability for water reabsorption. And that's, I mean, aside from losing electrolytes and affecting your potassium and sodium levels, and that maybe also affecting your heart function, it like even if you try drinking a lot of water, you're only absorbing some of it. Like if you say, let's say you try to drink this whole thing like I'm trying to do now, I mean, if I'm at a certain point where I'm already been affected or I'm experiencing heat exhaustion or whatever it is, then I can only actually absorb maybe half of that or 1/4, so I just wanted to make that point.
You're totally correct with that one. When we drink only water without any salt or electrolyte, sometimes we are just diluting the electrolyte in the body. So the fluid water is for hydration. It's not really that enough. We have to drink the normal amount of water, but including in that water, we also have to accompany that with electrolyte. Okay? So salt. So that is sodium, potassium, that we can actually get from sports drink or even salt solution.
Yes. So salt solution or what you find, you can get these packets that you mix with water. And then, I know, there is a very famous sports drink that was actually made by, for the Gators, the Florida Gators, the football team. That's how it came about because their athletes were getting dehydrated a lot. But of course, some people would drink it indiscriminately, like me. Like I feel hot, I feel dehydrated, but that may not be the case all the time. But these are things that can help you when you are dehydrated. Okay. I just wanna acknowledge the people who are watching right now. Marge San and G San. Oh, thank you. Happy Easter, Nicole. You look good. Thank you so much. And then I know Doctor looks good too. Zam, Jackie, and Ladybug are watching right now. Thank you for tuning in. Carissa and Roberto Trosio are watching from Bacolod. Ay, salamat gid. Damo gid nga salamat. Nahidlaw na ako sa inyo. Okay, and then Marjorie is watching from Quezon Province. So I just like to acknowledge people who are watching, who are viewing us today and listening to us. And of course, we just remind them that they can get, if they want to play this episode again and again to get more into, just to really absorb all the things that you're saying, Doctor. They can always do that by checking out the DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido YouTube channel. You subscribe, no need to pay. And also the Facebook, DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido Facebook, and also probably my Facebook. But okay, thank you, Doctor, for explaining all of that to us. Now, Doctor, I'm going to ask you about recommendations for going out during summer days, or, a lot of people take beach trips at this time. We just need to take a short break before that. And that's what we're going to talk about after. So please stay tuned to Healthline with Makati Med. We're here. We're happy to be with you and serve you. To all the audience out there, happy Easter Monday. And thank you for being such a great, cool doctor to talk to, doctor. So doctor, don't go away. You're the most important person in this show. Okay. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to DZRJ 810 AM. We'll be right back after these reminders.
Hi, this is Dr. 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 from Makati Medical Center, and I'm happy to share that our world-class quality healthcare with the heart is now more accessible and affordable via Makati Med Mobile Care Access. As the name suggests, this service is mobile, which means that we go to where you are. Mobile Care Access deploys a team of professionals for face-to-face consultations and to conduct basic laboratory and diagnostic procedures, as well as vaccination and testing, depending on your needs. We can go to any location of your choice within the metro and readily offer these healthcare services to communities or groups. For added convenience, different modes of payment are available, including HMO benefits for those with a valid letter of authorization. We believe that access to affordable, quality, and compassionate healthcare is a basic human right, and we at Makati Med are doing our best to make this possible to more people. For inquiries, scheduling, or pre-registration, you may reach out to us at the following numbers. We look forward to coming to you and serving your community with Makati Med Mobile Care Access. Hi, this is Dr. 𝗛𝗶𝘁𝗵 and welcome to Makati Med Wellness Center. Located at Ayala North Exchange, the Makati Med Wellness Center is a warm and comfortable state-of-the-art lifestyle center where executive checkups and services that address holistic patient care and wellness can be done. We have a skin and laser hub, diagnostic imaging, health screening, mind and wellness care, and physical medicine and rehabilitation. The Wellness Center is equipped with modern facilities and staffed with competent healthcare professionals who are committed to deliver premium, personalized, and easy access healthcare services for both adult and pediatric patients alike. This is a great place to prioritize your health and well-being without having to be at the hospital setting. We are open from Monday to Saturday at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the 7th floor of Ayala North Exchange, Tower 1 in Makati City. It is also accessible from the Makati Med Hospital through a bridgeway to Ayala North Exchange. For inquiries, you may reach us at these numbers. We look forward to serving you here at Makati Med Wellness Center.
You're back with Healthline, keeping you healthy, moderated by Nicole Jacinto.
Okay, folks, you're back with Healthline with Makati Med. I'm your host, Nicole Jacinto, and you can find this program only on Radio Bandido, DZRJ 810 AM. That's 810 AM. Of course, having said that, you can also find it on the Facebook page of DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido, the YouTube channel, and probably on my YouTube channel. Let's talk about that another time. We are before we go back to the topic and our discussion with a very capable, very articulate, and very soft-spoken and relaxing, calming, because he's an emergency medicine specialist, so he can't be like, stressing people out when they're in the ER. The Dr. 𝗛𝗶𝗶𝗶 III. Okay.
Thank you for that compliment.
No, I mean, yeah, if you ask people, I don't usually compliment them unless I mean it. Yeah, I'll
Thank
just.
you.
But before that, doctor, I'd just like to remind people of Makati Med's offer. There's a special offer for 18% off a 2D echo in the Makati Medical Center Care Access in Araneta City. That's in Quezon City. So that's like in 𝗂𝗏𝗁. Just for older people to know. Nasa 𝗂𝗏𝗁 yan. That's in 𝗂𝗏𝗁. And for that is in celebration of their first year anniversary. And for more inquiries, you can call Makati Med Care Access Araneta City. The landline numbers are, you call Makati Med, 8888-8999. Yes, okay. I always get confused. There's so many 8s and 9s. And you can, when you dial 8888-8999, you can immediately punch in local 8401 to 8402. You can also check out Makati, other things about Makati Med at mmc@makatimed.net.ph. And of course, the Araneta City Care Access Center is located on the ground floor of Manhattan Plaza Tower 1 in General Romulo Avenue in Araneta City, Cubao, Quezon City. And their hours are Mondays to Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sundays, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Makati Med wants to share love, promote health, and protect lives. So give the gift of health and wellness by getting gift certificates for your loved ones, and you can get the gift certificates or GCs in different denominations. That's 1,000 pesos GC for 950, 1,500 GC for 1,425, 2,000 peso GC for 1,900, 5,000 peso GC for 4,750, and of course you can get 1,500 GC for annual exam package that includes consultation, a complete blood workup, urinalysis, and X-ray. Sorry, I just had to move a little. My back was cramping, and that is for the MMC. That's a special from MMC that it's available until May of this year. So snap up those GCs. I think I'm going to snap them up maybe right after the show. Hello. Anyway, doctor, thank you for sitting with us through giving that through the process of giving that information out, because it's also really important, I think, now more than ever, to help give people a push after the pandemic. I think maybe we neglected ourselves a lot because there was a bigger threat for going out and having ourselves checked. So I'm very happy about this. And thank you for being on the show again, as I said. Now, just to remind the audience out there, our topic is heat stroke, heat exhaustion, heat emergencies. That the first step is heat cramps, or maybe the first manifestation. And doctor, I said before we went on break that I wanted to ask you about recommendations that you might have for going out on summer days. And some people, many people at this time of the year go to the beach, or they go on holiday somewhere, where it's hot or hotter than their actual homes. And before you give those recommendations, though, I was thinking, it just came to me during the break. You did mention diuretics earlier, in terms of how it affects the body when diuretics make you pee. And earlier you did say that there are some medicines that make you pee. And I know they use diuretics to treat high blood pressure sometimes, no?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So we use diuretics to treat hypertension as well. So there are some medications that use diuretics to decrease the blood pressure. So for those patients who are taking blood pressure medications, be careful during this time of the year.
And also, just one more question before we go to the tips that you have for going on vacation or going to the beach where it's hotter. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, but diuretics, that includes coffee. Coffee is a diuretic, right?
Yes, coffee is a diuretic. So when you take a lot of coffee, in the first part of taking coffee, we feel cool, right?
Yeah.
When we take coffee, it increases the heart rate and increase the our ability to sweat. And then when we increase our sweating, we can cool down. However, if you have increased intake of coffee more than the usual dose, it can also cause you to pee a lot. So when you pee a lot, you also lose water. So it's not recommended to drink a lot of coffee during this time, during the summer.
How about sodas that have caffeine?
Yeah, same
You,
thing. Anything that has caffeine will increase your urine output or
so
increase you to pee.
would you say that taking a lot of sodas with caffeine can dehydrate you as well? Or
Yes,
coffee? Okay.
that's correct. That's correct.
How about sodas that don't have caffeine? Are those better? Are those okay to take during this time of the year?
Sodas, water in general or fluids in general can rehydrate you. However, those sodas would have an increase in sugar, so I would
Mm.
not recommend that to take a lot. So I
Yeah.
would recommend to drink sports drinks better or electrolyte solutions better
Mhm.
than soft drinks or carbonated drinks.
Okay. So thank you very much, doctor. I mean, maybe some important things to tell our audience who are not always reaching for water. No. And if, of course, you did mention, well, if you're out there in the sun reaching for alcohol on your vacations, that will dehydrate you as well. So doctor, from your point of view as a physician, what can we do? What do you have any recommendations of what time to go out during summer days, especially when people go to the beach, or whatever,
I'm glad to see that the beaches now are full of people, so that the economy are going back.
Yes.
But with that, we have to protect ourselves when we go to the beach. So other than timing our when we go out to the beach, the hottest time of the day would be around 10 o'clock in the morning. But now, as early as 9 o'clock, it's already hot. So we extend that to 9 o'clock. So to about 3 o'clock. So I would suggest that we plan our trips in the beach about early in the morning. So we can take our swim early in the morning and late in the afternoon when the sun is not very hot. Okay,
Mhm.
so do not go out in the beach around 9 to 3 p.m. Okay,
So
and other than that, don't forget protection. Wear hats or caps or umbrellas, and it's also important to protect our skin. So wear sunblock. So it's not just the body that we are preventing; we're also preventing skin cancer. When you're exposed to too much sunlight, it can also cause skin cancer. So put some
Mhm.
sunblock.
Sunblock. So something, treat it as something holistic. Go out not well, yeah. Keep yourself hydrated while
Yes,
you're at the beach. Anyway, you can pee in the water. Just citing a reality. Um,
yes,
urine is sterile when it first comes out. Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so your pee is not really dirty, it's sterile, and then the ocean takes it away, it's natural. Everybody does it. Come on, right? We know that. And then
yes.
from from don't go out from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Wow, there was a time when I thought the afternoons were hotter than the mornings. Maybe that's just the heat building up
Yes.
for me. But okay, so when I also this year we're experiencing El Nino.
Yes.
So that, of course, we all know that well, El Nino affects the water temperature in the Pacific Ocean, specifically making it warmer. Okay, I'm not I'm not a scientist, but we have been told that for many years already, and its effects because they talk about agriculture. Okay, but our concern here is how it affects us. Do you think that when, as a doctor, in the patients you've treated, do you think that when it's a season of El Nino that you see more of heat related emergencies?
Yes, definitely, especially during this time of El Nino, and also when our heat index actually reach about 42 to 43. These are the times when we see cases of heat exhaustion, not too much of heat stroke. So,
Okay. And this can happen not only in the beach. So it can happen when, if you say you're going up to the mountains, take a
Yes.
hike. Actually, anywhere in your own home, no?
Yes.
Um,
It's usually it's when we have a lot of activities during summer. We have a lot of sports activity like marathons. So this happens. We see patients with heat exhaustion and even heat stroke during marathons. This happens when these athletes are not really that conditioned enough, and then they join this activity. They drink water without any sodium at all or electrolytes at all. They cause this causes them to decrease the sodium in their body, causing the symptoms of heat cramps, and then eventually will have the heat exhaustion.
okay,
So
sorry, since you brought that up, doctor, no, certain events have been in the news that are related to heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Now, there's one student who reportedly, well, the student died. That's a fact. And
yes,
it was during a soccer game. And there's been a lot of news coming out that it's possibly due to a heat stroke. No, they have not said what it is exactly. So I don't want to say that the student died because of that. But that's one thing to consider. You mentioned that in
yes,
those online marathons. No,
yes,
so that's an athlete. That's an example of what you said. And then there's another example of a PNP cadet who died of heat stroke, and that is something that they stated, and another news outlet stated it. So there's your example. Also of the people who are at risk for it. You said earlier are PNP, maybe our army, are
yes,
people working, I mean traffic enforcers, people working in factories, as you said, anyone really, people working as a warehouse,
yes, correct.
madami, vendors,
Yes, correct.
nagbebenta sa daan, ang dami. And then also there was a case of like I think 83 students who got heat exhaustion or heat stroke. I think there was a fire drill, and
Yes,
they made to go out of their classrooms, and then the teachers noticed. So immediately, and a lot of them, they say it's because of the heat.
yes,
So um, what those teachers who went out, no, or maybe those students who were complaining na naiinitan ako, at least they said that, no?
yes,
Because from the news reports, the students, even before the fire drill happened, where they had to go out into the street and get exposed to more heat under the sun for about 10 minutes. How can you recognize the symptoms of heat stroke or heat exhaustion in yourself or in others?
okay.
What should you do if you suspect that you have it?
That's a very good question. Now, the symptoms of heat stroke can occur about even as early as 10 to 15 minutes of exposure to a hot and humid environment. So the first symptoms that you might feel for us would be that lightheadedness, that feeling of you're weak, and then you're perspiring a lot, and then you suddenly feel dizzy. And sometimes these patients would have those dimming vision, that they feel that they would faint. Okay, and then they would have those headaches already. Those are the early symptoms that you're already having heat exhaustion, that your sun exposure or exposure to the hot environment is too much, and that you have to do something about it. You have to go to a shaded place and then to cool down. Okay, so for you, the first thing that you have to tell yourself, if you're feeling different, fussy, feeling dizzy, and then you are exposed to a very hot environment, and then you have to hydrate, then move yourself in that environment already.
I have to be honest with you. I think it was last week. I just felt really fuzzy. And that's the feeling I get also when I'm exposed to too much heat. And as I said, I'm not really good at acclimatize. I mean, my body doesn't do it as quickly as others. And I was just here at home. I mean, I stepped out and then, so I said, I'm sorry, I have to go in. And this time I have to turn on the air conditioner. Now,
Yeah,
I
definitely,
was,
that's correct. It's really the temperature now, the change in temperature is very different from the way we used to feel 10 years back or 5 years
yeah.
back. So it's really
I,
different now.
there's global warming. I know, we know about that. Okay,
We can
so
feel it actually. We can
we
really
can
feel it.
feel it, and even with our storms and the different, weather patterns. And I just gave myself as an example because so yeah, I can tell people, no, I need to go into the room because I did feel it very fast. As you said, you can start the onset between 10 to 15 minutes. You can already start feeling the symptoms, and you're fuzzy. You're kind of like, huh? You don't know what you're saying, having a hard time doing what you need to do or articulate. And doctor, we do need to take a short break right now, but I would like to discuss maybe some of, you gave all the symptoms, no, but maybe we can just expound on it a bit more, and talk about how we can start treating it ourselves when we get back from this short break. So everybody out there who's watching and viewing, stay tuned and we'll be right back.
You're listening to DZRJ 810 AM. We'll be right back after these reminders.
Good News Pilipinas with host Francis de Guzman is advocacy in action, which brings to you exclusives to enhance life's values that really matter. This program also brings forth guideposts on scriptural truths, giving hope to nations. Watch and listen on Radio Bandido TV every Sunday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. on Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 AM, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido. Join Arnel Doria as he explores the world of travel, transportation, road safety, and the environment. Tune in to Good Trip every Saturday at 1 to 2 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido. Fierce, fast, and on the go. Reporters Hour, hosted by 𝗛𝗲𝗶𝗵𝗶. Meet the fearless reporters of Teleradio Bandido TV, Celestino Jojo Sicat, Vance Fernandez, Jong Manapas, Jimmy Mahusay, Felix Tambongco, and Romel Madrigal. During a crisis, you need timely and up-to-date reports on Radio Bandido TV daily, plus on Reporters Hour, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Except Tuesdays on Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 AM, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and on YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido. Chit Chat with Double V with host Vivian Velez is a program that breaks down important national concerns, events, and stories, featuring newsmaker interviews and compelling features to add context, clarity, and answer the questions on your mind. Every Sundays from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, GMA Affordable Box, Easy Box, and all DTT boxes. Simulcast on DZRJ 810 AM. Seen on Facebook/DZRJ 810 AM and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM Radio Bandido. 𝗪𝗪𝗻 Mo Baby is a news-oriented program that tackles topical issues and headlines with the support of DZRJ field reporters. Hosted by the legendary Jimmy Morato, Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 a.m., and on YouTube channel DZRJ 810 a.m. Radio Bandido.
May problema ka ba sa asawa, kaibigan, katrabaho, boss o negosyo? Tanong mo, sagot nila attorney. Mag-PM lang ng inyong problema at sasagutin iyan live ng abogado ng bayan na sina attorney Nikki De Vega at attorney Carlo Nicolas. Libreng payo ng abogado mula kina attorney Nikki at attorney Carlo. Ang Buhay at Batas ay isang programa na nagsasanib ng samut-saring mukha ng buhay at iba't ibang aspekto ng batas. Sabi nga nila, ang buhay ay parang batas. Paminsan mahirap, pero may abogadong tutulong sa'yo. Watch them every Tuesday from 12 noon to 1 p.m.
on Radio Bandido TV,
Channel 224 Sky Cable, Free-to-Air Channel 29, TV Plus boxes, DZRJ 810 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 a.m. or on YouTube channel
DZRJ 810 a.m. Radio Bandido.
Magandang araw po.
Sa Mindanao, ako si Jude at your service.
Samahan niyo po ako sa mga kwentuhang lokala, turismo, at usapang serbisyo ng buhay at kabuhayan, kalusugan at kalikasan, kultura, sining at kasaysayan dito sa Bayan ni Juan. Sa bayang mapapakinggan at mapapanood sa DZRJ 810 AM, ang Radyo Bandido sa Metro Manila.
You're back with Healthline, keeping you healthy. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto.
Okay, welcome back to Healthline with Makati Med. We are coming at you live from different parts of the Metro Manila, and that's the technology now. And at least we can do shows like this more. And our doctors are here; they're available. Our doctors from Makati Med are available, to help you have a healthier, more uplifting lifestyle. And the topic for today, for those of you who have just tuned in or who need a reminder, is heat stroke and other heat emergencies, as Dr. Amado Flores III has said. And he is an emergency medicine specialist, so he is the best guy to tell us all about this and how we can treat ourselves. And before we go back to the conversation with him, I'd just like to greet Manang Tin Padayhag, who's watching right now from Negros Occidental. And I'd like to say hello to the 5th District of Negros Occidental, ang 5th Distrito. Palangga ako kamo, palangga man kayo sang mami ko na si former Congresswoman Marilu Arroyo. And by the way, speaking of my mom, mommy, thank you for always watching and being supportive in this program. And Dr. April is a time of rejoicing for me, because a lot of my family members have birthdays during this month, and I remember people who are kind to me. And my belated happy birthday again to my sister Bea Jacinto, who is also my boss in a lot of the work I do as a broadcaster. And I'd like to say happy birthday. Today is April 10 in Manila, so it's April 9 in the US. Happy birthday to my cousin Bianca Arroyo. I love you so much. I've just told the world that. So I hope you get around to watching this when you get off your shift. And I'd like to remind people na pwede niyong ulit-ulitin. See, you can watch it not just once live, pero pwede niyong ulit-ulitin if you go to Facebook, or if you go to YouTube. And also, I'd like to remind people that Makati, the Makati Med Center in Araneta City in Cubao, has its 1-year anniversary coming up on April 15, and there's a health and wellness activities there. They're introducing the 2D echo and all the things that I'm talking about, or we're talking about here. Any other questions you have, you can also find out all of these things on the Makati Med or MMC website. It's also on the MMC or Makati Medical Center Facebook page. So don't forget to check out the Makati Medical Center Facebook page because there's a lot of information there. Okay. And okay, so doctor, going back to, we actually have some questions later, but going back to our conversation, I wanted to ask you, how do we start treating ourselves once we feel we have these symptoms and we pretty much know, or somebody that we're with physically, or somebody calls us and says, "Hey, I have heat exhaustion," or I feel this way, mentioned all the symptoms that you were talking about. How can we start treating ourselves before we go to a doctor like you?
Okay, very good question. So the very first thing to do, first aid is the first thing to do. Now, you have to remove yourself to that hot and humid environment. So, for example, you're in a very hot or humid room that is not ventilated. You have to go out in that area. Okay, if you are out in the beach or in the environment, you have to go into a shaded place so that you will not prolong your exposure to the heat. Okay. Number two, if you are feeling the symptoms, you have to rehydrate yourself. It's important that you have to continue to drink water, and then if you can add salt solution to that one. Okay, so it's important to drink enough water, not just when you're thirsty, but you have to continue drinking water. Now, if the first thing that we need to do is to bring down the temperature of the body. And in order for us to bring down the temperature of the body, we have to loosen our clothes. Okay, so remember, if you're not wearing light clothing like during summer, you have to remove those heavy clothes. If you're wearing, yes, like I'm wearing right now. So you have to remove those heavy clothing. If you can undress, if you're okay with that one, you can undress the patient. Okay, and then you can put some cooling blankets to that patient. So you can get a towel or a blanket, damp in water, or you can actually use water spray, and then spray some water in the body while the patient is being ventilated by an electric fan. So you can put water together in an electric fan because it increases the evaporation. So other than the evaporation, you lose more heat when you have air moving around. Okay. And then
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Other than that, if you have ice pack, you can put some ice pack on your neck and then in your axillary area and in your groin area. So these are just some of the cooling measures that you can do. And then definitely observe the patient. And then once you feel that the patient is deteriorating, the patient is feeling more dizzy, and then more the sensorium is more, the patient is more sleepy, you have to bring the patient to the hospital.
Okay, good, doctor. That's great. Let me just try to recap at least some of the things that you said, no? When you start feeling this way, it is important to treat yourself right. Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, correct.
You can do these things by, if you are in a room that's stuffy and hot and humid, leave the room. Go to somewhere where there's more ventilation.
Yes.
First step. Secondly, and you can ventilate also through using an electric fan. But basically, doctor, if you're in a room and you step out, there's no electric fan there, but it's, just air, fresh air, you step outside, that's still better than being in a room, even if it's hot.
Yes.
As long as you find a shaded place.
Yes. As
Okay.
long as it's not warm or hot and humid.
Unless it's like unless it's, don't go to a place that is just as hot. Find a shaded area.
Yes.
If you're with a person, ask them to help you out, of course.
Yeah.
And, earlier I said, okay, I gotta use the aircon this time. But a lot of people don't have air conditioners or can't afford it because of the high prices.
Yes.
And so you're saying an electric fan. An electric fan will do. Okay. And some of the other things you said, drink water. If possible, put a salt solution. What is that? Can we put a teaspoon of salt in the water if there's nothing else around us?
Yeah. If in the Philippines we don't have that salt tablet, we can put about 2 tablespoons of salt in 1 liter of water.
2 tablespoons of salt in 1 liter of water. So we should remember that. And then also you mentioned ice, which is great. If you have access to ice yourself. And I'd like to focus on, like, you gave such good tips. The important areas to put the ice on are the back of your neck.
Yes, and then the axilla and the groin.
So your armpits or kilikili,
Yes.
and then so it's what you call it, sing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just telling it like it is para
Yes, correct.
I mean, that's where you need to put it. That's where you need to put the ice. Those are the best areas to put it. Like, not just like on the chest if someone's feeling hot on the chest. No,
Yeah.
back of neck, ancillary area, or armpits, and your groin area. Okay.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So thank you for giving us those tips, doctor. And if it starts to deteriorate, then you need to see a doctor. Just go to the ER. The other thing, doctor, is, okay, some people will do things like they'll sit under the shower or pour water. Is that okay?
Yeah. Any cooling measure will do. If you can do a cold baths,
Yes.
it's okay. If you have a bathtub with ice, it's okay with that one. So
Okay, so-
any cooling measure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or any cooling measure. And but people will say, okay, it's hot, so naliligo ka sa malamig. Is that a good idea for the summer? I mean, to just keep showering in cold water?
Yeah. There's no problem showering with cold water. It's okay to shower in cold water. As long as you will not overshoot it, because when you overshoot the decrease in temperature, your body will also compensate. And when you put the temperature too much down, your body will shiver. Okay, so when your body, because the body will want to produce heat, so it's okay to take a bath in cold water, but do not put the temperature down too much that you will shiver. Okay.
So let's say,
So-
some of us might say, okay, let's go into an ice bath.
Yeah.
Pero if you start shivering, get out of it na.
Yes. So for ice bath, we only use that to treat for heat stroke. Okay.
Okay.
So for heat exhaustion, no need for ice bath.
Need for ice bath. Okay. Doctor, we have hi Nicole and Dr. Mads. This is from Miss Arlene. Okay. She's listening on the radio while driving. Can you give us tips, please, for our seniors? Very important.
Yes, for our seniors, especially those who have limited mobilities. Okay, we have those seniors na they cannot walk or they have difficulty walking. The important thing, number one, is place them in an environment that is well ventilated. Okay, there are enough windows, and then you have enough moving air. Okay, it's not just important that the air is cold. There should be moving air around. And then if you don't have any air conditioning in the house, and then the electric fan will do, but you can add water mist so that you can decrease the temperature in the area. For those elderly who really would like to go out, who really want to travel a lot, so I would advise that you plan your trips early in the morning and late in the afternoon, or even at night. So don't go out during those time that I've mentioned, from 10. We can extend it from 9 o'clock in the morning. So please plan your trips. So you're not that young enough, so you cannot really compensate to the heat as much as a young individual can do. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
So those are the tips I can say.
Just to ask, I just want to ask you, like, some will be at the beach or they'll be at the pool side and they'll feel hot. No, as you said, they're playing on chips. Plan it, don't go out in the sun at this time. But people have this notion that, oh, I'm feeling hot. Maybe they start feeling heat cramps or heat exhaustion. They have the symptoms. Is it a good idea just to go in the pool or into the water in the beach? Maybe not too long. I mean, that doesn't exactly cure it because you're under the sun.
Yeah. If you're still under the sun, you're still exposed to the prolonged heat. So you have to remove yourself to that hot environment. You can wade in the water as long as it's not that hot. So not in the time that is around 10 o'clock. So when the sun is really at its peak. So important thing is to rehydrate. Okay? rehydrated fluids. When you cool down, when you're not well rehydrated, the absorption of your salt is also not good. So that's why you need to balance the fluid, the water, and the salt. Okay, and then the cooling measures.
And we have, okay, doctor, we have a question, text message that goes, kind of goes to that. It's from Ladybug. Where can we get electrolytes, doc? I think you've answered this, but we can answer Ladybug's question.
Yeah.
Like other or sa mga drinks.
If you don't have access to electrolyte drinks, you can have hydride solutions, hydride tablet, or even our table salt. You can use a salt solution.
Two tablespoons with
Yeah.
1 liter water. That's a salt solution.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, okay, there's a question from Erica here, Doc. What about, Doc, yung mga nag-ice bath? Sabi nila maraming benefits. Is that okay? Especially now, a lot of people are doing it after intense exercise. So I guess that's a fitness thing that people do.
Yes.
Is that okay to address heat exhaustion and heat, the
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
avoid.
As long as your body can tolerate it, the temperature. As I've mentioned, it's also important that we do not go down beyond the temperature that the body wants. Because when we go down to the lower temperature that the body wants, the normal response of the body is to produce heat. And the way we produce heat is we shiver. That's why when we have fever, we shiver. That shivering will actually produce heat. So the ice bath after exercise is actually beneficial according to studies, as long as the body can take that temperature. Okay, and then the timing, there should be a specific time, not too long, because when you're exposed to that cold environment too long, your body will shiver. Okay,
Thank you for that.
it can also cause seizures, so don't stay too long in a cold bath.
Okay, so Erica, thank you for that question. Thank you for watching and listening. And ice baths can be beneficial, but I'm not doing it. Okay. As you said, doctor, when you start shivering, and it's good that you explained that so well about when the body shivers, it's trying to produce heat. And as you said, when we have fever, because there are times like when somebody has a fever or an infection, first, they shiver, and then they sweat so much. And then they shiver, then they sweat so much.
Yes.
Okay. So there's this mechanism also that if you dip too low in the temperature, that's also good advice for the athletes and those who work out, in
Yes.
with or without air conditioning. And that don't overdo it when it comes to the ice baths.
Yes.
They say it's been proven that it's beneficial, but you can't overdo things. We have another question, Doc, if you don't mind, from Anthony Garcia. What about nosebleed? Is it one of the symptoms leading to heat strokes?
It's not really a symptom of heat stroke, but you can have nosebleed during the late stages of heat stroke. These are late complications of heat stroke, when your body is already exposed to too much heat for a long time, and then you have a late complications of heat strokes, which are end organ failure, when your liver is already failing, your kidneys failing. When your liver is failing, your clotting mechanism will fail. You will have what we call disseminated intravascular coagulation, which can cause bleeding. That is actually a late complication of heat stroke. But nose bleeding itself during this summer can be just a simple rupture of the small vessels in the nose because of the changes in the temperature. So we have a very small vessels in our nose that is sensitive to increase in temperature or increase in blood pressure. So that can cause nose bleeding during the summer, not necessarily heat stroke.
If you have nose bleeding, it's not necessarily a symptom of heat stroke, but nose bleeding is one of the symptoms of heat stroke in the late stages, because as you said, when your liver starts to fail, and I guess that's one of the things we can talk about, what organs fail and the seriousness, the intensity of experiencing a heat stroke, and that what you said was basically, when you said coagulation, that means the blood, when you mentioned coagulation, that means the blood cannot clot anymore.
Yes, that's correct.
You're bleeding out, you may have internal bleeding, and it may
Yes.
you can bleed from, I guess, your nose or anywhere.
Yes.
By the way, Dr. Lee Cruz says, very informative. Thank you, Doc. I agree with you, Lee. Thank you talaga, Doc. Okay. Doc, let's go to the more, you know, is is heat stroke life-threatening? Of course, can you tell us
Yes.
more about that? Yes, and
Yeah.
how?
So definitely heat stroke is life-threatening if not treated early. The early complications of heat stroke would be you can have the deterioration in your sensorium. Specifically, you can have loss of consciousness. You can go into coma. You can have decrease in blood pressure. You can go, and then you can have uh, fainting episode, and then you can have um, also seizure episode. Now, the late complications of this one would be end organ failure. That would be kidney failure, liver failure. So when we are exposed to too much heat, more than 40 temperature for a long period of time, the cells of our body dies. Okay, so the most sensitive part of the body would be the liver, the kidney, and the brain. Okay, so specifically the part of the brain, the cerebellum, is sensitive to increase in temperature. So it can cause what we call difficulty in walking or ataxia, and then can produce seizure as well. So when we have failure of the kidney and liver already, then this will have an effect in the coagulation of the body. The blood cannot coagulate. Uh, then we'll have bleeding, okay, internal bleeding. So what we
So,
call a DIC. And when we have this, most of the time, it's fatal.
okay. So this is something we really need to take seriously. Doctor, you and I talked about some incidents and episodes that are in the news. It's very timely, this discussion on heat stroke. And that's thank you to the Makati Med team for putting this together for us, no? Because I think it really would help a lot of people out there. Everything they can learn from you and during this episode. And also, we're talking about how serious it can be, so we shouldn't disregard it because you can die. Basically, you
Yes.
can die. And when you talk about organ failure and all that, and organ failure and internal bleeding, no coagulation, meaning your blood doesn't, because normally it will clot,
Yes.
stay in your body if there's an open wound or you apply pressure, but you're bleeding internally. How fast can this happen? I
Okay.
mean, because you see people like we have heard over the last years, like you mentioned marathons earlier. There are people running, swimming, then pack. It seems like they cannot be revived.
Yeah.
How fast can this happen?
As I mentioned earlier, as early as 10 to 15 minutes, it can happen. But that can occur during heat stroke. My personal experience, I had a patient who died after 6 hours. So it really depends on the patient. But it is as early as 10 to 15 minutes it can happen.
So basically you can't, once it gets to that point, it cannot be reversed. I mean, as you
Once we get to that end stage or the late complications of heat stroke, it's really hard for us to help the patient. Yeah.
back up to
It's
the
really hard.
temperature that's needed, because you're probably treating the bleeding in the liver, the bleeding or the
Yeah,
shutting down the
yeah.
kidneys, brain,
Yeah,
everything.
everything is shutting up already because of that elevated temperature. When you cannot really control and put down the temperature immediately, then the body fails.
Mhm. Okay, doctor. Wow. For me, this was a great conversation, but our time is it's going to be up soon. Do you have any final words, and maybe anything you'd like to tell a certain demographic like seniors, or just anything you'd like to say more, anything more you'd like to say about heat stroke, heat exhaustion, even heat cramps, anything else on the topic?
Okay. The important thing is awareness, basically. So be aware that during this time of the year that your symptoms, if you are exposed to a hot and humid environment and you develop some symptoms of even some cramps, muscle pains, dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, headache, that you can be experiencing heat exhaustion. Once you experience heat exhaustion, it's important that you cool down your body immediately, so and then rehydrate. Important to drink the exact amount of fluid, and with the water you also have to drink electrolytes with that one. Okay, when you have to go out, time your activities, make sure that you are protected, well protected with umbrellas or caps and hat. Wear light clothing. Don't wear light clothing, don't wear those dark,
Okay, yes, because
light and light. Yeah, light color.
black shirts will absorb heat more
Yes, yeah,
opposed to white shirts. Okay.
yes.
And maybe
Then
your clothing.
yeah,
And I have no
the,
problems taking off my clothes if I'm
yeah,
experiencing heat exhaustion. Bahala na lang kayo. I mean, swerte pa kayo. Hindi.
yes.
Yeah, so take it seriously. Wala nang hiyaan dito. And if you need
Mhm.
to, and you know that it's there, go immediately to the hospital because, as you
Yes,
said, it can happen in 10 to 15 minutes, as we've seen with many athletes. And, you know, they may die. As you said, you had a patient who died 6 hours later, but that's because you cannot reverse the effects anymore. It
yes.
went to end stage organ failure. Okay.
Correct.
Doctor, thank you so much for being with us today. I also sorry, Joseph is watching from Saudi. Super informative. I just like to say that to you, doctor, because it's you who's bringing all this to all these people. And then Tin and Jeff Erno are watching right now. Hi, Tin and Jeff Erno, and I hope you learned as much from the doctor or even more as I did. Doctor, thank you so much for being on the program. Is there
Thank
anything you'd like to greet?
Okay. I would like to greet my family in Binangonan, my mom, Jojo, JP, Claire, Marina, Friendly, and the people at the emergency department of Makati Medical Center. As you can see there,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Visit us in the Makati Med Emergency Department.
I would like to thank them also, but maybe the ones I know, I don't know anymore the roster of doctors. I might see you, hopefully not. But I mean, I'd like to see you to talk to you more.
I would like to be at your studio again. We had
Yes.
my first interview with you was in your studio before.
Very first, right?
Yes.
I remember that. Okay,
Yeah, I
we should
remember
meet
that.
up. That was the very first time, and I remember that. There was traffic. You remember?
Yes.
May pahabol, Doc. Doc, grabe, super informative. I'm young, but I like your show. Ah,
I like your show.
well, that's us.
Yes.
I remember you. You were the very first doctor I interviewed, and after you, you gave me I needed
Yeah.
swab.
Yes.
I went straight to the
To the
hospital
area.
after.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
sick, so we did it,
Yes.
and I was like, I think you were like, you'd better come now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Mm.
remember that. So we have history.
Yes.
And Dr. Flores, I hope you don't mind. I have your phone number. I'm asking you in front of the world.
Yeah.
Can I and give you a call sometime?
Yes, definitely you
Not
can.
for romantic reasons. I'm sorry if you have. I don't mean to offend anyone.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's many people running after Dr. Flores who are in love with him, and I don't blame them at all. You're such a joy. I can only say that I mean, you look good. I'm glad to see you again and talk to you again. And thank you so much for this show. Thank you for being our guest today. And I hope you guest again to talk about any other topic because you are an ER doctor. And well, I've been a frequent visitor to your ER over.
Yeah.
And
Anytime, Miss Nicole. Yeah.
yeah, one of those visits, you were there.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much to the viewers and listeners. I cannot thank you enough. And I'd like to thank also DZRJ and the AJ and the other people, the whole production team. Nina, thank you. I love you. Happy Easter. And also, Doctor, thank you again. I cannot thank you enough. For me, this is like a reunion. And I'd like to thank your family as well and your mother for bringing up such a great guy. Thank you, folks. Tune in again next week. It's Mondays, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on DZRJ 8:10 a.m. That's 810 Radio Bandido. And we also have other mechanisms and ways to view and watch again, like Facebook and YouTube. And once again, please take care of yourselves. Dr. Flores has come out on her show today to give you tips that pertain to avoiding getting heat emergencies like heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. Stay safe, keep healthy. We'll see you again next week. Doctor, please guest again soon. We can talk about another ER topic. Oh, I hardly do that, but for you. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye. See you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Healthline with expert doctors from Makati Med, giving you the chance to interact, uplifting your lifestyle. Moderated by Nicole Jacinto. Tune in again next week for your weekly dose of Healthline.